Tell rhymes.
A very pleasant good afternoon to you guys, and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York on Island Zone Radio. Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you are done. I am so glad today that I have two very special guests who are seasoned, and they'll be talking about a lot of things that we need to address here in our community. First of all, I would like to welcome Diane and Ashwin to our studio here in New York.
Thank you, Ken, for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. So Diane, I'm so glad. Thank you again for coming to the program today. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, actually, Ken, I was born in Guyana, and I came to the U.S. when I was 13 years old. And all my life, I, always wanted to find out something very special. What is the more to life? And I've been a seeker all my life. And from 13 years old, I remember when I was here, as I started my school in the United States, and, I went on and on. It's always I've seen a fast-paced world, but I've seen also so many people in so many ways that they have really started to, is that good? Yeah. They've really started to, not truly live life. And I've seen the people around me as well. And I really started to think more deeply about life. And it's what brought me to where I am today and my work that I'm doing.
That's good. I know that you came from a large family. If I remember reading about you, right? You are the youngest of 9 children?
9 children. We're 7 brothers and 2 girls.
That's good. And you are one of the first you went to college, right?
I was the first and the only one in my family, just because of our age differences and when we came to the United States.
That's a good thing. So Diane, who is actually, it's a good thing when we can help each other out in life. And I want to ask you, who's your role model?
It's very simple. My role model was my mother. I think you're from Guyana, so you know what I'm going to be sharing is that not many of our parents back in the days were educated, but they were smart as ever.
That's right.
They were the most amazing beings. And my mother, who couldn't read and write at the time, but she grew up 9 children who were neatly bound together, the most loving family. And she's taught. I always say if she could have read and write, she'd have been somebody really, really huge out there. But she's such a special woman, and today actually marks the 14th year of her death. She passed away 14 years ago, but she's such a special woman in the sense she's heart-centric, and she really came from a place of always helping others.
And ladies and gentlemen, you know what? As I was reading about Ashwin and Diane, what stuck out is that, here is 2 people. Diane is all the way from Guyana, being female, and I have Ashwin is from India, Chennai, India, right? And you know what? The 2 of them working together. And I'm wondering, like I was preparing my question, I says, wonder what really attract 2 people from 2 different continents to work together and have the same vision. So talk to me. In fact, you can talk to me a little bit about yourself, Ashwin.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Ken. First of all, my life, my entire passion in life has been about mental wellness. I have always believed life is immensely precious. Each and every moment you live on this planet, you're seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and this life is not going to come back. And that has been my core learning when I became a monk in a monastery at age 12. And for the rest 19 years, I was traveling the world, helping people find that inner wisdom and clarity. And what has struck out to me is human transformation. It never gets old. Every time one human being comes out of suffering, they come out of pain, it is such a fulfilling experience that you can never say, oh my God, this is getting old. I'm getting bored of it. Every day, every moment, it's a newer and newer experience. It was around 2012 I used to come often to US. Before that, I was in India, then I was in Africa for 6-7 years, and then I was Middle East, Far East Asia, and then a little over 10 years ago, I started coming to US. And very randomly in 2012, there was a speaking platform where we both were supposed to talk one after another show. And it so happened that when I was talking, Diane happened to come visit and listen to my talk. And that's when we very randomly started speaking, and that's when the whole that relationship, that connection, that affinity, and that vision started with each other. And it was almost like the stage at which Diane is, from her background, her life, from a corporate journey to a journey with pharmacy to later dedicating herself to living a conscious life of making an impact. And where I was after 19 years of monastery and really feeling that I have to take this further using technology, using internet. So my biggest aha moment or insight at that point of time was technology is such a tremendous medium that today with internet, if you can search a place, if you can connect with your school friends, why not we use the same for making a positive impact in each other's life? But I didn't have really much of an idea how we're going to go about it. And that's when we both started talking. We still remember we were on this, basically we were various random conversations in a coffee shop, on a bus ride from Washington, D.C. to New York in Megabus. And that's where the whole idea emerged. And one of the main things we decided that we will just jump into it, just like how the way you learn swimming is you don't learn by being on the shore. You jump, and that's when you learn. That's how we jumped in. And ever since our sense of oneness, our sense of connection has been simultaneously growing with the vision. And deep down, we are all one, whether it's an Indian, a Russian, or American, or anyone for that matter. Deep down, we all feel the same. When you feel sad or when I feel sad, it is the exact same feeling. When you feel happy, when I feel happy, it's the exact same feeling. There's nothing like Guyanese happiness or Guyanese anger or Indian happiness. We all feel the same. And that's what we're really bringing together to this planet.
You know, and I'm glad you say that because, you know, even to myself, I believe that, you know, life is a one-shot deal. There's no second chances coming back. And that, you know, let me do all the things that I can do now, you know. And there's a saying that says, I shall pass this way but once, the good that I can do, I should do it now, you know. So did you think that being a monk helped you in any way in your life to where you are today?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would attribute every bit of who I am today to all that I learned in the monastery. So it was not a religious monastery that I was part of. It's not some, like typically what people would understand, it's some lineage, it's a Buddhist lineage or a Hindu lineage. It was very altruistic in nature, a very normal school in southern part of India, very organically got transformed into a monastery because of certain very deep experiences the students had in that school, and that's when I had joined that monastery. Ever since, the entire learning journey has all been about living a life of self-awareness. When I was growing up, all that I was taught in school, the academics was very, very good in terms of teaching us how to do better, but there was no framework helping us to learn how to feel better. Now, always it is told to you, you do better, you do so better one day that automatically you will feel better, but that's not always true. So I had no idea what to do when I'm having fear. I had no idea what to do when I'm having all kinds of conflict and struggle, inferiority complex, self-esteem issues. The typical transformation a human being experiences when you're 11, 12, 13. That's what I was experiencing, and there was no way to go. My parents, all they were equipped with to tell me is be focused on your studies. Once you become successful, the very success will bring you happiness. But it doesn't work like that. So we always say success is outer and inner. The way you have a science for outer success, you also have a science for inner success. And that's what monastery really taught me, how to transform your suffering into clarity, how to really become friends with your mind, how to truly love oneself, how to truly celebrate and enjoy who you are, to the totality of who you are, and not wait for someone to come and tell you how lovely you are and wait for that day and thus become happy. Now and here, you are the best thing that has ever happened to you.
That's beautiful. Let's send out some greetings to some of our viewers here. Maria Harris, thank you, my dear, for tuning in. Rajiv Nandalal from Mount Vernon. My beautiful wife, Geeta Rampersaud, is watching. Bibi Farza Bola, thank you very much. Bibi Amina our good friend Nafiza Noor, thank you for tuning in. And Nalini, thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you stay a little longer. I really wanted to open with your song, but it's coming later on, but stay tuned, and we will talk a little bit about death and so on. Aditya, thank you for tuning in. Razia Hussein, thank you. Chitra Samaru, Alicia Fernandez, thank you very much. My good friend all the way from Florida, Girly Passat, thank you for tuning in. We got Sheila Mangar all the way from Suriname, and Sharon Bacchus. Is that
my
your
sister? Yes, that's
well,
my sister.
You know what? I was Sharon.
Hi.
How you doing, Sharon? You could say hello to Sharon.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Hi,
Well,
Sharon.
You know what the thing is that when I was looking at Sharon posting, and I was every day I look at her posting. I like what she's writing, and so I wrote her a note and I said, I like what you're writing, and I would like to bring you on the show one day. And she said, you know what? It's not me. It's my sister. So I was, Sharon, I hope that one day you would decide to come and we can have a little conversation too, okay? I see Shelly Bacchus. Is that your family member too? Yes. Hi, Shelly Bacchus. A great sister to have. I'm sure they all utilize you for good information. Nirmati Dat, thank you for tuning in. Shalini, thank you for tuning in. We'll ask our DJ to get a song ready. So I got my Aunt Dolores Sigubin. He's visiting from Hartford City, Connecticut. Debbie Sanyasi, thanks for tuning in. And thanks for going to that funeral last night. It was very kind of you. Nanda Hemraj, thank you very much, my dear. Nalini Naidu, always good to have you on the radio and on Facebook Live. Let's see, Natalie Dixon, a registered nurse in Hartford City, Connecticut. Good to have you on. Umawati Kalicharan, thank you, my dear. You're welcome, Miss Nafiza Noor. Let's go for a song, and when we come back, we're going to ask the two experts some good, hard questions. So stay tuned.
Girl up and leaving, she don't want no reason. Now she am me thinking what she going to say to me. She said, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. From the morning I working, right now me knee it breaking. All of the bills I paying, but she always complaining. Tell me what I do, cause I don't know what I do. Now you're leaving me for true. She said, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. She say I don't do housework, I don't eat food when she cook. She don't like how I does look, I don't know how I get hooked. Yes, I get hooked. Tell me what I do, cause I don't know what I do. Now you're leaving me for true. She said, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, wind your waist. K.I. and the band, they make you wind your waist. Hey, K.I. and the band, they make you gimme. Hey, gimme. Everybody do the K.I. dance. She blaming me with Nadia, blaming me with Sandy, blaming me with she's sister. She say I did with Diksha. Tell me what I do, cause I don't know what I do. Now you're leaving me for true. She said, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, my girl up and leaving, she don't want no reason. Now she am me thinking what she going to say to me. She said, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, leave me alone, this can't work no more. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, hey, K.I. and the band, Maha Production. Daddy said don't come back by we door. Oh, Oh, yeah, I took a stance. I didn't win 3 tries, so come on, off my chance. Daddy said, don't come back by we door. Oh.
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. So as we have 2 beautiful guests here who are so knowledgeable in all the areas. Actually, I'm so glad I'm talking to them. So let's talk, Diane. How would you talk to a young lady who went to school, you know, they went to school, they passed all their exams and so on, they're not getting any job. And how do you empower them to move on with this life? As you know, life can be very challenging at times.
Yes, Ken, that's a very good question, and something Ocean and myself and Ocean also can share more, but something that we teach and we help people to really see this. In life, there are 2 things. There's one of it that there's problems that are always going to evolve in
Correct.
our lives.
You're correct.
You know, we're a living being. We're going to have problems. We're going to go to school. We're going to have challenges there. We're going to, you know, be in a relationship. We're going to have challenges. We're going to be at work. We're going to have challenges. We went to school, we did all of that education, and we don't find a job. That's a challenge by itself. Then there's the other aspect to it, where we start to suffer with the challenge. We start to become doubtful about ourselves. We start to become, you know, angry, hurt, guilty. All of these emotions start to evolve. And one thing that we share a lot to empower people is that we need to separate these 2 things. We need to separate, I went to school, I can't find a job right now, it's a problem. What do I need to do in order to get that job? Maybe they're looking for some other qualifications at that moment. What do I need to do? But most of us, what we do, we start to really doubt ourselves. And this is what, you know, we really need to start to inculcate in our life, is how to really see ourselves as beautiful beings. As really loving, caring individuals. And a lot of us, we look for these things in the outer world, but we need to start loving ourselves a lot more inside and start recognizing that, no, nothing is wrong with me. It is a situation right now. And as more I start to accept, as more I start to see the good in my life, I can also start to create more good on the outside. Because what happens, Ken, most of the time is that we are trying to solve a problem in a bad mindset. When we are hurt, when we are angry, when we are in frustration. And how can we ever solve that problem? How can we ever empower ourselves from that place of a bad mindset? We only can empower ourselves when we're in a good place, when we're in a beautiful mindset. And really to help ourselves on a daily basis, whatever it is that it takes you to actually put yourself into that place, to say, hey, today I'm going to get up and I'm really going to find something great to be grateful for, something in my life today. And what it does, it propels something more in your life for that day. And it's accumulation. And as you start to see that, you start to empower your own self. You don't need anyone else to do it for you. You're doing it for yourself. So whatever challenges come your way, you'll be able to see it in a new light.
I agree, and I always tell people, you know what, the best thing is how you see yourself, and it's always you need your own validation. I don't think that you don't want anyone to validate you, because you know in the world it's so wicked out there. You find that people will always put you down, and so Ashwin, you know, as a young man growing up, you from India, how would you advise young men who, especially not finding a job, life is difficult, and they're getting a hard time in life, what advice you have to them, how you want to empower them to become great men in this world?
Absolutely. One of the first things that I always share in each and every platform that I get to talk, whether it is a public talk, whether it is a face-to-face interaction, or in any platform whatsoever, don't wait. Don't wait for a perfect day, a perfect time, when you would get that validation, when you would get that love, when you get that that approval that you're looking for. It could be from your friends, it could be from your family, it could be from the society, and that's the day you're going to be happy. That's the day you're going to do what you want to do. The fact of the matter is, each and every youth who is listening to this show, or even far beyond, they have to realize that who they are in terms of their inner being, who they are in terms of their mind, who they are in terms of their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions. They are absolutely wonderful the way they are. this fear that if I am left behind, if I am not good enough, if I am someone not so worthy, is a fear that gets built up at some point of time, and we are waiting for someone else to come and fill up that gap. And while people will come, people will give you that love, they will give you that attention. But at the end of the day, as we just pointed out, you also shared about it a couple of minutes ago, the best person who can be your best friend at any point of time is you yourself. And for you to have that incredible strength to deal with challenges, whatever you're trying to get a job, you're trying to grow a company, you're trying to get the grades that you want to get in a college, you really want to shape your life. The best way you can do better is by first feeling better. It's what is going to manifest as creativity, excellence, intelligence, name a thing. So there are only two places that anyone can be in mentally: conflict or clarity. There is nothing else. So either your mind will experience conflict or your mind will experience clarity. Now, in order for you to move from conflict to clarity, the best thing you can do is, I always suggest this to all the people, start with gratitude. Gratitude is an emotion
big thing.
that has no opposite. Now, when you start recognizing what is there, so we used to have this meditation in the monastery where we used to have food in front of us. Let's say you have a sandwich in front of you. You ask this question, holding that sandwich just before you're about to take a bite: how did this sandwich land on this plate? What all has gone into this sandwich? And when you ask this question, what all has gone into that sandwich, you will see the bread, you will see the tomato, you will see the vegetables. From there, you will see the truck driver, the farmer, the soil, the manure, this whole chain of nature, all the way going up to the sun and the moon. So we always used to say this, that literally the sun and the moon has been directly responsible for you to have that nice sandwich on your plate so that you can enjoy that sandwich. Now that moment by itself, when you're enjoying that sandwich, is the most heavenly, perfect moment. And you don't even have to think and worry, oh, am I good enough? Does people love me? Am I, liked by this person, not liked by that person? You are absolutely loved. That's why all the way from sun and moon, you've been given a nice sandwich. Now, who else would get that privilege at that moment? Yes. So once you start seeing that and feeling that gratitude, when gratitude becomes a habit, suddenly reality undergoes a transformation. Suddenly you start seeing all the things that are working for you, and the things that are not working for you, you only see it as a new opportunity. So people have two choices. They can always find reasons as to why they can, or they can find reasons why they cannot. The choice is yours. Now, if you say, the day all this falls into place, that's when I'll start feeling why I can, such a day will never come. You make a choice today. I'm going to constantly find these reasons. If the universe has been so kind to me, I can breathe, I can walk, I have these two hands, I have my mind to think, and come from that place of gratitude, you would be able to create, you would find the right opportunities, you would find the right people, and you would be able to give extraordinary responses to life challenges. There is no challenge bigger than you. Your wisdom is more powerful than your fear.
Listening to you, Ashwin, you take me back from a long time when I was a young boy. And, when I was growing up, I failed all my exams as a child. And I say this because of who I am today. And I like to say it because, I want that someday someone could listen to the story and know that, this guy did it, I can do it too. And one of the things, you're talking about gratitude. And yesterday I had some friends came over and we were talking about gratitude. And we said, I think one of the things that really helped me in life is gratitude. And I had learned a nice proverbs, and it says, gratitude is one of the hardest of all emotions. There is no word that's convey that feelings but thank you. And anytime I have to give a speech somewhere to acknowledge someone, I always say that one thing. Because, you know what, it's a good thing. And I believe that if you can say thank you for little things, if you can't say thank you for little things, then you can't say thank you for big things. So thank you for that. And you took me back, way back in Guyana as a young man.
Always one last thing I would say there, that so if there is a lot of suffering, the youth should even realize that even you have the body, mind to suffer, that itself is a blessing. Otherwise, how would you even suffer?
Right,
so you start there, and that's when the next step comes.
And we know that in life that, as you said, Diane, we will go through some hard time in life. And what do we do when we get through hard time? When we fall, do we stay at the ground, or we get up and we keep moving?
Yeah, no. Again, going back, it's all mindset. It's something that we have to, as humanity, take it upon ourselves, not leave it for anyone else to do it for us, but we have to create that mindset for ourselves. And we talk a lot about intention. What is the intention for your life? What do you want? Many people never ask themselves this question, what do I want? They're just, everything is just thrown upon them, whether it's school and a job and a family and whatever it is. They never sit there and say, what do I want? And when you actually decipher what many humans want, what all of us want, what do we want? We want to be happy. Right? We want to feel love. We want to feel, but do we actually need to get a job to feel happy? A job is a byproduct of certain things, right? But do we need a job to be happy? Do we need a relationship to feel love? And if we see that right now, all of the audiences, they're listening, right now, just think of going back to what Ashwin taught, what Ashwin said. Just think of that one thing. Look at your hands. Look how beautiful your hands are. How many times have we taken that one moment to just look at our hands and say, wow, this hands has helped us throughout. It helped us to write, to help us to cook for our children, take care of ourselves, whatever it is. It can be our breath. And right there, you can feel something different. And that is happiness. And if you continuously practice this every day, you're never going to stay down. You're going to always want to get up because you have a greater purpose. Your purpose is you. Your purpose is, that beautiful being that you are, that you're not stuck anywhere. We feel stuck, Ken, because most of the time it's not even us. It's our mind. Our mind is, it's designed that way to actually make us feel all these different things that we're feeling. And one of the things that, I've learned from my years of, going through all these programs and listening to people like Ashwin and all the things that I've been doing is really bringing awareness to your thinking. A lot of the times we just let our thoughts just keep going. I'm not good enough. Yeah, let me stay down there. Nobody's going to pick me up. And these are all negative thoughts that, it's like you're a nurse. When you take one drug, there's a side effect, and you take another and another and another. And exactly with that thought process, your thought is a drug by itself, right? Like, if it's not a good drug, what happens? It doesn't heal you. It'll give you another side effect. You'll have to take another. So you'll have another bad thought. So it's an accumulation where it'll keep you down. But who has that control? It's you. It's each one of us have that control of literally saying, no, this is not true. This is not true what I'm thinking. It is not who I am. I need to get up. I'm much more than falling down on the floor.
Yeah, it's like living a purposeful life. When you wake up in the morning, who you see yourself as, and what your plan is, and Diane and Ashwin, I get to see so many people in my life and cross paths with so many people. I've seen so many people decide to stay ground. And I asked one of my patients today, I said, what's your purpose in life? What are you going to do? You're going to just live this life as it goes. You don't care about tomorrow, where it leads you. Why not take the bull by the horn and you choose your own destiny? I think, like I said, I choose my own destiny. I choose how my day is going to go. And I'm like every human being, what I'm saying? When I get up in the morning, I said, I choose how this day is going to go. Do I want a good day? Do I want a bad day? And I say, you know what? I'm going to have a good day today, right? So let's go for some music. And when we get some music, are you ready, DJ? When we come back, we'll get some more questions answered. You are listening to the Ken Rampersaud Show on Island Zone Radio. Hey, girlie, good to see you on. Geeta Baldi, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Miss Bibi Hack, good evening. She's saying good evening to you guys. Nanda Hemraj, hello, Sister Girlie. Thank you very much for tuning in on the Ken Rampersaud Show. Who else? Let's go.
Squeeze it, banana. Don't squeeze it. Don't squeeze it, Anna. Don't squeeze it. Hear the story. Anna, Anna, don't squeeze it, banana. Anna, Anna, don't squeeze it.
Good evening again. Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. I see Rajiv Nandalal is on again. Who else do we have here? Girly Prasad. Thanks for tuning in. Girly Prasad, she's a singer. She was here last week, and it was nice to have her on. I always try to get someone who can really give a positive message to our community and our, I see my sister Naomi Ramdas is listening. Harris. Thank you, my dear. Harry George, all the way from Canada. He said, good afternoon, Kenneth. Good afternoon. Baby Hack, Maria. Thanks, guys. So, let's talk. I always say ladies before gents. I like to go there. So let's say that you meet a young lady you know that's being abused by her husband. And she keep tolerating it all the time. She... because she feels stuck in this relationship. She have nowhere to go, no one to reach out to. What advice you have for a woman who's going through all these things? How can we empower them to move on from a domestic violence relationship into a more powerful relationship?
Yeah.
Diane?
I think, Kenneth, it's a serious issue that not only, people from our country in Guyana, the United States, but all over India,
Right.
we see this in different parts of the world, right? This is a common problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I shared initially about one really loving themselves, when you truly appreciate who you are and you love yourself, you'll say no to whatever it is from the outer world that is not accepting. Because what is happening right now is many of the times that we are not accepting ourselves. How can we expect the outer to accept us? We need to appreciate love, care more for ourselves than someone hurting us, and think that's okay. It is never okay, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's definitely not okay, but we have to see that. And many of the times we're stuck in our mindset that, if I leave this person, how would life turn out? What would happen? So it's a lot of fear that we're experiencing, but these fears are just assumptions we are making in the mind right now. Our dependency to feel that we need to have that person there. And our mind creates this story around, if we leave this person, what will happen? See, that person by itself needs to take care of their issue. They have a violent problem. They have a problem that they need to take care of. We can't help them at that point. We can help them get the right resources. We love that person. We care about that person. We can help them get the right resources. Whether they need medical attention, whether they need, someone to talk to, whether they need a counseling, whatever it is, they need it. But let's address us. Do we need to take whatever they're given to us, right? I would just really advise both women and men, because it happens also the opposite way, where men get abused as well, right?
Absolutely.
By women. Or, whoever it is that victim at that time. But really, truly know that you are loved, and you're loved by yourself. You have everything inside of you to actually be the person that you want to be. You have all the strength to get out and create that beautiful life that you want to believe and to live and enjoy. And you don't have to take this from anyone. If someone is threatening you, there is protection that you can get. There's so many things you can do. But don't let the mind fool you that this is life. This is not life. You create the life that you deserve. And later on, we'll talk about our album that we launch. And we launch it for that same exact purpose, really, for people to see that there's so much more. They are there's so much more on the outside. They are so much more. That they are not giving themselves the justice to create the life that they deserve. Creating the life that you deserve is showing up different every day in your life. Not accepting things the way it is, but really, like we talked earlier, having an intention for your life. If your intention for your life is to be happy, you're going to do everything in your power to be happy. That means that if someone is abusing you, you're going to make sure that, if we try to reconciliate this relationship or whatever it is, and it's not working, and it's coming to this point of violence, that this is not healthy. That I need to be happy, and that's not going to take me to my happy path.
Right,
So
right.
whatever it is that you need to do, but it starts with you.
Yeah, it is true, and like I always say no to domestic violence. And Ashwin, I know that you have traveled extensively in the United States. I saw that you talked to over 6,000 people or 60,000 people,
Yeah.
60,000 people. Yeah, so you have seen a lot. You've a lot of experience. Now, with young men growing up, what advice do you have for them? Let's go back in domestic violence, and for example, they see their father beating their mother up, or so on. What advice you have for these young men, not for them not to continue this path, because in my opinion, that this could stop. You could stop this. What's your take?
So the way life works is whatever you truly like, it'll come to you. Whatever you truly hate, that also will come to you. So life doesn't see whether you want it or don't want it. Life only sees how much charge you have towards that particular event, person, behavior, no matter whatever it is. So while normally it is believed that, okay, this is good, you should like it, this is bad, you should not like it, to an extent hate it. But what we should understand is, when you're going back to your question of when kids are exposed to this kind of an unfriendly environment where you feel a lot of friction in the house, it can't be either. It can't be that, okay, you're going to be kind of, definitely you're not going to like it. It's going to be extremely uncomfortable. But on the other side, if these kids are going to tremendously hate, let's say they're going to hate the father or hate the mother for who they are and what they're doing, consciously you would only tell yourself that the reason I hate this is because I don't like it. But there is the conscious, and then there is the unconscious. So we talk a lot about it. The conscious only constitutes to 16% of your decision making, of your behavior. It is the unconscious which constitutes to 84% of your decision making and behavior. So I don't want it, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. What you're hating, unconsciously you're becoming the same. So the same kids tomorrow will end up realizing that I am talking the same way, I am behaving the same way, because I hated this in my parents, I hated this in my teacher, I hated this in my boss. Now the fact is, the reason you end up doing the same at some point of time is because that charge towards that behavior, no matter how much ever you hated it, has become you. So the best thing to happen over here is, some point of time we have to ask ourselves, what is more important to me? Is happiness more important to me, or justice? Now, yes, in life, many times externally you have to go seek justice, you have to, whatever procedures you have to do, go to court, all that is one element. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inner justice. So many times people, they wait, they say, one day when I teach lesson to that person, that is the day I will be happy, and I'll wait for that day. And internally we deny any room for growth, any room for improvement, any room for happiness, saying justice, justice, justice. What I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong in you trying to explain to someone or tell someone that something is right, something is wrong. But if you're going to deny your happiness for the rest of the life and hate your way through, then you would end up definitely finding yourself in a very miserable place. At some point of time, these kids have to tell, if I don't want to be like that, if I don't want to be what I hate, the first thing I need to do is work upon myself, grow as a human being, and find that inner clarity, find that inner happiness. And as I find that, I should be able to share it with people. So I should be able to impact that with my immediate family, with my kids. If you don't want to be the parent you saw in your parents to your kids, the best way is you grow as a human being. Not by hating what they did, not by saying, oh, I will not be like them, they are the worst people on this planet. By truly becoming a heartfelt, compassionate human being, you will eventually find that you have created a very different destiny for your kids or for your immediate environment. So, kind of solidifying the whole answer, hate is not going to make you better. What is going to make you better is growth.
Growth, yes. That's very interesting, and one has to grow. And this is life, really. We all have to grow somewhere or the other, and you either choose to grow positively or negatively. So, Diane, here it is, a young girl growing up in the home. She sees violence, and it's challenging at school. It's hard for her. She can't get a focus. What you will tell her? how can she approach this with her? Do you tell her, go talk to your parents that this is affecting me, or you know what I'm saying? How would you do it?
Yeah, it's we see a lot of people who either grow up in family that are together and they have these challenges, or family who are apart and they're pulled apart as well, and they have these challenges, right? Divorced couples and all of that, and we're a lot of times that it's not even affecting the couple itself; it's affecting the kids the most. Depending on the child's age, and that's why I have 2 children of my own, and they're 11 and 12 years old. And one of the things
my children age too, my son.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
One of the things, Ken, that we have to empower our children. We have to teach them from a very young age how to deal with challenges.
Yes.
We are brought to this planet. We go to school. We learn math and we learn science and we learn English. But we really never learn when we have emotional charge, like Ashwin talked about. When we have these problems, how do we dissolve them? How do we what do we do with them? How do we channel that energy into something else, right? And sometimes that child might want to go talk to the parent. Maybe the parent themselves don't understand this. It might be a push-off that, what are you talking about? Because it's life for the parent. And we've seen this, right? That parent might not even know that they're not aware that they are hurting that child. And that child is being affected at school because they're not able to focus, and they'll eventually start yelling at the child, why are you not focusing in school? Why are you not bringing the good grades in school?
Right.
This is what happens.
And they're contributing to that problem.
And they're contributing to the problem. See, as a parent, we need to really start to really grow with our children. We have this whole program that we do, and we talk about it with children, how these 3 different stages. A parent need to treat a child in these 3 different ways, which is one is a king or a queen, one is a princess or a prince, and the other one is a friend. When a child gets to that age that you just mentioned, and especially the age of our kids, our kids' age, they need to start becoming a friend to that child. They need to start to really understand, help that child, see where that child is going, where that child mindset is going, because the child is experiencing 2 things as a child is growing. One of it is a lot of biological changes, puberty and all these different things that we're experiencing. The other thing is psychological changes that we're having. We're having so much, and especially today where our kids are so vulnerable with technology, right? It could be a great thing. It could be also, a not so good thing for them. But nevertheless, they're there. Not that we're going to take it away from them because they're exposed. It's our world. We need to be there for our kids. We need to become conscious parents. We need to get out there and say there is more to that life than just, the arguments in our home. We need to start bringing awareness to our thinking, to our life, what is happening. And like Ashwin said, many of the times, 84% of what we do on a constant basis is on the unconscious. We yell at our children unconsciously. We, dismiss them unconsciously. We don't pay attention, not because we don't want to. We're good parents. We want to. We love our kids. Come on. All of us love our kids, right?
Right.
The fact is we do it unconsciously.
As you're talking, it just dawned in my mind, and I'm going to let Ashwin go with this, and I'll let you go too, as a woman perspective and as a man perspective. I like this. I like where this conversation is going. I've seen in so many relationships where the husband and the wife, they decide to separate with each other. They decide to go on their own way. And here it is, they have 4 or 5 children stuck in the middle of this. And a lot of times I find women trying to keep those children away from their father. Ashwin, as a man, and as a nurse, I've seen a lot of things. I believe, I'm going to give you my version, and I'll ask both of you to give me your version. I believe that children need both parents, and mother and father should try to work this out so where the children enjoy both parents. Without me talking much more, I can dig into all of this, but let me let you do this. What you think is the best thing? Do you think it's for the children, you work for the children, or the parents? What's your take?
See, quite often what happens is, first of all, what I have learned for the longest time in the monastery is life is relationships. At any point of time, all you're doing is relationships. You're constantly relating. It could be with your immediate family. It could be with people outside. It could even be with animals, plants, things. Life is relationship. The quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your relationships. If the quality of your relationships is very, very low, the quality of life is very, very low. Quality of your relationship is wonderful, growth oriented, then the quality of your life also is wonderful. So coming back to your question, I would never try to give a very objective answer as to what is right, what is wrong, what should be done, what should not be done, because every family, every situation is very unique. But this is what I will try to tell here. It is always the inside that determines the outside in terms of how you act, how you make a decision. Now, in every family, when such a situation comes up, there is a rift, there is a separation, or there is any kind of thing happening, the core question that we need to ask is, why are you acting the way you're acting? Why are you deciding the way you're deciding? What is propelling you to make that decision? Now, if your hate towards your spouse, your dislike towards your spouse is propelling you to make whatever decision you're making, even if it is the right decision or the wrong decision, you will still find yourself in a place where the kids are not happy. So let's say the kids get the opportunity to be with both. Let's say they get custody in a manner that they can spend time with both the parents, or it is totally partial. Whether it is partial, whether it is impartial, the question here we need to ask is, from what inner space you made that decision. I will go back to the earlier answer I gave. If that decision was made from a place of hate, even if you give this nice opportunity and this nice atmosphere for kids to be with both the parents, you should remember one most important thing, which I would like to tell all the viewers who are listening to this show. Kids don't gather from what you tell them. They only gather from what they see. You would tell a whole Mahabharata to them, but they won't grasp a thing. But what they will grasp is what they see in you.
Right.
Yeah. And
Action.
you might think that you are telling and they are listening. They are not listening to what you're telling all the time. They're only listening to who you are. You tell them don't be on gadgets, and next moment you're on your Facebook page, they'd see that. And you tell them, okay, you should not talk in high voice, and next moment you're talking in high voice to your spouse, that's what they get. So the question is, even before you want to decide what should happen to your kids, the question is, are you growing? If you're not growing, no matter whatever you do physically as a decision, sometimes you might not be able to influence the other spouse to grow. You can't go and tell you grow for the kids. You have to grow.
Yes.
Growth always starts from you. Charity begins at home. So whoever is listening to this, or anyone who is in such a situation, the first question they need to ask is, as a parent, how can I grow to become a better human being? Once I'm becoming a better human being, the decisions you take from that growth will be compassionate, will be intelligent, and will be for the betterment of the child, no matter whatever the decision is.
Okay, so Diane, let's get a woman's perspective, your view.
Well, actually, Ken, you're not going to only get my perspective, you're going to get an example from my own life.
All right, let's go.
So, the first thing I think that we need to do as parent is ask what is important. Is my hurt and my anger in the relationship that did not work out, is that more important, or is these human beings that I brought into this world more important?
Correct. I like that.
Yeah. Once we actually establish this in our mind, then we'll make decisions differently in our lives. So I've been married 20 years. I have 2 beautiful kids. But me and my ex-husband decided to separate in 2012. And this is the first time I'm actually sharing this live with anyone.
Right.
But you brought up the question, right? And when we decided to separate, we also decided, and my kids were much younger at the time, we also talked, we have 2 beautiful kids, we brought them into this world.
Right.
And we are not going to have these kids apart. They need 2 parents to grow them, right? I've always been in a home with both my parent, and I grew up this way, and he has grown up that way as well. We've decided to put all our differences aside.
That's adult talk in there now.
Yeah, all our differences aside, because we've been living this life, right? What we are sharing, what we are preaching, I believe that we have to live that as well.
Right.
We have to be congruent with what we're doing. And we decided to do that. And our kids lived in a home with both parents. We have our total separate life, but we never showed it to our kids. We actually became better friends together
Wow.
living together that way. And it's a conscious decision we make, right? And then eventually we start to tell our kids, and we told our kids, mom and dad is not married the way you think mom and dad is, but we're still here. And first the kids were like taken back. However, when they realize nothing changes for them, it changed those kids' lives. Because had I made a decision differently, my kids would have gone into a different path. I'll share with you how it has changed their lives, right? My kids excel in everything they do, in terms of their school, their focus, because they have both parents who are not taking them apart, but are bringing them together, right? We are actually cultivating their mind, because we brought these human beings in, right? They have to be better human being for society. We have brought them.
Right.
We didn't ask for, they didn't ask to get here. And they've done so many great things, and every day that we see them, my husband, my ex-husband and myself got a divorce, they're all in joy and a part of it, because they haven't lost anything. All kids want is to make sure both parents are in unity together with them. That's all they want. Kids just want to be loved. They want to know that they are loved. They want to know that, you know what, they don't have to be in the middle of a fight. They don't have to be feeling that they're the cause of a parent fighting, because they don't know anything different. Their mind is not developed the way our minds are developed.
Right.
And something that we talk about a lot is that even us, right? Why are we fighting to begin with? What is the argument about? Yes, it's about a hurt. But going back to that question, all of us as parents can ask ourselves, even in marriages that are together, we have this constantly. People have their opinions, and their opinions are so much more important than the person. So they would, the people that are around them, their loved ones, their kids, their spouse, that we're so strong with our opinion that we have to be right. And who are we losing? We're losing the people that's right around us. So sometimes I tell Anoshin and myself, we talk about this, right? That you either could be, there are two things. You're either the point or the person. What is important to you? Is it your point? If your point is important, then you're going to lose the person. If the person is important, you'll have many points in your life.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York on Island Zone Radio. I see Shabir. Thank you very much for tuning in, my brother. We got a lot of messages here. Let's see. Robert Ram, thank you very much for tuning in. Mary Ann Lou, all the way from Canada. Thank you very much. And yes, we need stability. Priya Prasad, parents are the first teachers. Yes, you are correct, Priya. Actually, Priya is a young girl from Guyana who we talk. She always looks out for me, and I, in the program. So I'm so glad to have her on, and I hope that someday she will be a talk show host or do something. And I'm hoping I get her to New York, where me and her can sit like you and I talking here now. So I always believe in giving people breaks in life and give them a step to climb on, you know what I mean? We're going to ask our DJ to get some music ready, committed for the best interest of the kids. And I really do believe that you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. All right. Geeta Baldia says one of the greatest show on Facebook is the Ken Rampersaud Show. Thank you very much you've been very generous. And Geeta Baldia is actually, I always like to say how I view people. And Geeta Baldia is from Trinidad and Tobago. And she's always been very supportive in all the shows, actually. And I tell people it's always so nice to have people who help you to fly, to uplift you in life, So I always like you around. So you know that my girl, Maria Harris, thank you, my dear, for tuning in. Let's go. Queen Regina. Queenie. That's good to have a Queenie in the show. My good friend Roxanne Hamilton Walker, all the way from Florida. Thank you very much for tuning in. They were saying from Barbados. So I like when I go on the radio and I see people from all over the country, and I'm saying people from India watches the show sometimes. So that's very good. You are very welcome, Dr. Roxanne. All right. Nanda, thanks for tuning in. Let's go and listen to a good song now.
Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay, so I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away. Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay, so I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run then something happened to me. From 100 to 1, then I end up with none. Hey, what really happened to me? Now every night I sleep in by myself. Oh, I don't know if I could find someone else. Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay. So I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away.
I go play myself, get out the hand. In a party inside with that. White woman on a African and a Chinese girl on a Indian. Move it, we don't need no wife again. Move it, no stress in my life again. Move it, plenty girl on my mind again. Okay, should love in the morning.
I give she everything, expensive wedding ring. Hey, but she leave nothing for me. Not even a letter. She changed she phone number. Yeah, tell me what happened to she. Hey, hey, I really wish I could go back in time. Oh, I would have never made this woman mine. Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay. So I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away. Yo, Tunji,
Don't care.
give me. I don't need a GPS to find a woman. Christopher,
Columbus, when it comes to a woman.
I don't need a compass. It's whoever comes first.
Well, look, it's plenty wine and walking up, and I just can't get it up. Yo!
Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay. So I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away. Last year I went on tour, but I didn't want to stay. So I leave my band to play. When I come back, my wife run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away.
Bunji Montana,
Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away. Yeah, when I come back, the girl run away. Hey,
Welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York on Island Zone Radio. I'm glad how this conversation is going. It's kind of fluid, and I like this. So let's talk about young people and suicide. Diane, you know, in Guyana, there are so many young girls and young boys that are taking their own lives. And there is so much challenges that young people meet. Another thing, too, that especially we talk about people from everywhere, but I like to focus in Guyana because I'm from Guyana, and Guyana is actually they have the highest rate in suicide. And a lot of Guyanese parents, they're kind of old-fashioned, if you know what I mean. They don't understand, what these young people are going through in life. And so what's your take? How would you advise a young girl come to you and want to talk about suicide and want to talk to you about life and how you value life? I know I'm asking you a lot of things, but you take it how you want to take it and run.
It's a very important question. Actually, Ken, it's not only in Guyana.
Right.
So globally, every 20 seconds, someone is taking their life in the world. Some part of the world is taking their life. And actually, World Health Organization shared that, that is going to, it's actually every 40 seconds is going to drop down to every 20 seconds. So,
that's
you know,
good, yeah.
by the time I finish the sentence, some part of the world has decided to take their lives. Going back to why is it that, people feel when life is so precious, we are brought to this planet, right? We have gifted this life. And then at some point, we decide to take our lives.
Yes.
The biggest thing that we see is that we as human beings don't know how to deal with challenges. Any little thing, any little challenge triggers our thought process, our mindset, or the way we feel. See, when the first thing is the thought, right? Whatever you think, you feel it. Whatever you feel, like Oshin shared before, if that charge, it's if it's a great charge, it's like energy. You're going to want to take that leap into that charge, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. Somebody win the lottery today, you feel great. What do you want to do when you feel great? You want to go out there and help your family and do everything else, buy the biggest car. Same thing. When you get crushed and hurt and you feel that charge and you start to demotivate yourself, self-talk, right? It's the same thing. The biggest thing that we need to help our society with is to empower their mindset. It's a daily thing that we need to help continuously to, surround ourselves with positive mindset. Positive mindset in the sense that whether it is that, every morning going back to purpose, that you want to be happy, you have an intention for yourself, you have an intention for your life. Life is precious. Nobody should take that away from you, including yourself. It is beautiful. It's precious. We're all going to die at one point or the other.
Right.
Might as well, when you're here, enjoy the
That's
little
right.
life
It
you
is so
have.
true.
Because, you know what? The opposite side to that, once you actually could see the beauty within your mind, once you can bring awareness. I talk a lot about awareness because Oshin and myself, we talk a lot about awareness. Awareness is nothing more than really becoming very, inquiring on your thinking, being, present with your thinking. And a lot of us are not present. And, if you ask that same person maybe a month later, 2 months later, when something changed in their lives, they can't believe that they were feeling this way. Mm-hmm. So if in a month later, 2 months later, that same problem seems so insignificant to you, why that moment? Because we are putting so much charge into this one thing that we're not able to deal with small problems. And that's why it is so needed at every moment that you cultivate a mindset of growth. It's not a one-time thing. It's something that we need to keep on spreading. Each one of us, whether we're compassionate to the other person, all of us could do a part into this, right? We don't know what that person is going through. We don't know what anybody's going through at a moment's time. And a lot of people, they will not come out and talk what they're going through. And it might seem very bright on the outside, but in the inside, a lot of it is going on. Look at, one of the greatest actors and comedian that we ever have is Robin Williams. When he's giving joy to everyone else, inside of him is in turmoil, right? Because the mind is such a way that going back, it's not even you. And one thing I can share with anyone who's going through this, it's not you. It's literally you're perfect the way you are. It's the way our mind is. It's our mind are designed this way that we have a thought, and you can try it right now. As your audience are out there, try it right now. Think about one thing. Think about what thought goes into after you think about one thing, whether it's positive or negative, what goes next? If it's a positive thought, a good feeling comes next. If it's a negative thought, something else comes next. And a thought is like a table, right? The tabletop is the thought. But if you start to really give a foundation to the thought, the legs of the table become that story that you're telling, right? And that story, you start giving yourself, this is the meaning to the story. Oh, you know what? That guy doesn't want to have the relationship with me because he doesn't love me. Oh, he doesn't love me because he has someone else. So yeah, he has someone else. Does that make us that we have to go and commit suicide because of that? It is just our mind. Our mind
play tricks with you.
Not only tricks with us, is because we unconsciously these thoughts keep coming to us. And if we can actually just kind of hone into that thought and bring awareness to it, we can snap out of it.
Ashwin, will you?
Yeah, I think Diana's been pretty much covering the whole essence of it. Your life, your actions, your thinking process is nothing but your story. So the way it works is the story that you build is what's going to make you decide what you want to do with your life. So it can be a story that builds you up, or it can be a story that totally destroys you, deconstructs you. So we often say this, that energy can only flow in two directions. Either you have a sense of purpose or issues. So if you don't have purpose, you'll end up having a whole lot of issues. So what happens here is when people lose that sense of purpose, and that's when they start finding all kinds of issues coming into their mind, and certain issues which become a story. Then that story almost becomes a saga where it literally grips you and it tells you a million times something less about you, something that you lack, something that you're not good enough, something that you're unworthy. So if I have to kind of condense what the thought process is for someone to be pushed to that extent of taking their life, it is a story that has been on a repeat mode in their mind. It is compulsive, it is repetitive, and they've been telling themselves again and again and again I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I did this wrong. It could be guilt. It could be inferiority complex, or it could be a love failure that brought about this less about you feeling. And as you keep telling the story again, there comes a point where the brain responds to that story and you take an action. And that's when you end your life. Now, all that person has to do is find tools to change that story. You can absolutely change the story because it's only a story. It's only a story. It's not, as far as reality is concerned, you have your body. You can move around. You can eat. You can wake up. You can sleep. If the reality plug itself is pulled off, you're anyway dead. Where is the problem? But you're alive and you're moving around, and you have to, and the only reason you should find every passion to change that story, I'll tell this point, which is extremely important. If you take such an action, you are leaving behind tremendous amount of pain to your family. You're not doing any better to them. You have destroyed their life with your selfish act. You have done something which you first of all thought is going to relieve you, which we don't even know it's that such case. But you have left behind a liability, a pain, a grief that your family, your immediate people who brought you to this planet, or anyone for that matter, who care for you, love for you, will never be able to come over. So I never see sense in that kind of a self-centered act where the people who loved the most, you cared for the most, you would do something like that to them. Instead, just change. It's much easier to change the story, no matter how much ever deeply painful that story is, rather than leaving behind a mark in people who would never be able to get over it for the rest of their life. The choice is that.
Priya said, great answer and point. But, you know, and I like to think of myself, and you talk about yourself to Diane. You know, when I have things bothering me, I run to the first person to tell them my story. I want to talk about it, and I want someone to listen to what I have to say. Even if they're not really paying attention, I just want someone to listen to me. And I think a lot of people, they want somebody to just listen to them, not much given our own insight of what's going on. I see we got Selecta Abid, #1 DJ in Canada. Thank you very much for tuning in, my friend. Nalini Rupchan, this is exactly how I am thinking. You know, Nalini Rupchan, her son, he was 34 years old and he died in Suriname. So I am so glad you're still listening, my dear. And I will be playing your song in just a couple of minutes. So bear with me, and I can feel all your pain and all your hurt. You know, you're posting every day. And I just want you to know that, you know what, I'm thinking of you, and I'm praying that you will find some peace and some solace somewhere inside of you. And, you know, sometimes, you know, they said that time heals your wounds, and I know it's hard. You know, Diane and Ashwin, you know, in life, we were supposed to bury our parents, not our parents bury us. So can you imagine that vast pain that this mother is feeling right now? And, you know, on a daily basis, I hear so much sad stories and so much people going through so much pain. And I had a friend who, her daughter died about a year ago because she had brain cancer. And I could read every day or once a week, she would put up some posts and like she's grieving so much. And I hope that one day I can have a program where, and I start to gather some information to help people who are grieving and the stages of grieving and all these things. So I see Sugrim, he is all the way in Guyana doing a lot of work. I don't know if you have came across his name. Sugrim lives in Florida, but he's doing some work in Guyana. And I wish you all the very best, and please be safe there in Guyana. Nalini Naidu said, great topic with some wonderful people. They are wonderful, yes, and I'm lucky I don't have to get too much paper, that the talking is going good. My sister Juliet Rampersaud, all the way in Guyana, thank you for tuning in. We need to learn how to let go, he said. Absolutely. And you know, you talk about that. It's good to, probably we can talk about forgiveness, probably, since you guys, I mean, no, can we talk about forgiveness a little bit? So we can talk a little bit about forgiveness, but let's see. Neela Pawaru, she's locked on you. I'm sure you're going to meet her sometime, not too long from now. You probably have met her, but Neela is such a beautiful soul. She is from the Caribbean Voice, does a lot of work, and every time I think of her, I think of what a wonderful human being she is, and you will see that. So let's see, Robert Rump. Thank you for tuning in. John Namat, all the way from Suriname. Mavis Kisoon, thank you very much. She said good night to everyone, especially my sister Sherry, Daisy. Thank you very much, Daisy, for tuning in. I'm so glad that you're tuning in too. So I need to sing. I don't like to miss anybody's name because I like let all of them know that as it's a radio program, but I want them to know how important it is to have all of them in this team listening to me and to you guys. So are you ready? Let's listen to music, and
Sure.
I like to keep them entertained, and when we come back we'll have some serious discussion. Maureen, thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, ready?
I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. Stop what you're doing and curl. Confusing time for me. I wish somebody send a sign for me. As I open the door, that's when I realize it's all she want me for. I know that I was happy. Some people saying I lucky. They don't know how I find she the best kind of woman for me. 'Cause I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. Stop what you're doing and curl. Decide to play along. Was like a story from a chutney song. That's when I understand that she had other plans. That one I know for sure. I know that I was happy. Some people saying I lucky. They don't know how I find she the best kind of woman for me. 'Cause I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. I don't have no money. She tell me don't worry. She don't want a house or a wedding. She does only call me for one thing. I say she only want me for one thing. Turn up all your hand. Turn up all your hand. Stop what you're doing and curl. Turn up all your hand. Yo,
Good evening, guys. You're listening to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. We're having some serious discussion. As you guys see this picture on the on Facebook here, this young man is 34 years old. Died. His mom is struggling. His dad. He is Sodawar Rupchan from Lenora. I think he died in Suriname. 34 years old, and it's sad. When a mother has to go, a mother and father has to go and bury a child. It's never a good news. So Ashwin, can you tell me a little bit about grief? How do we deal with this? Or how can his mother deal with grief?
So, first of all, heartfelt condolences, and really our heart goes out to the person for the pain and the experience that they should be having. This is what I would like to share. Our time on this planet is extremely precious. we all have this gift where we can make the best of this one life. Now, what is supposed to happen, we really don't know. But if an event has already happened, I can absolutely imagine the pain and the grief that event would have brought. But after that event has bypassed, the best way you can come out of that pain, the best way you can continue, I won't even say you have to come out of the pain, but the best way that person can still live is in the form of the nice memories you had with that person. Now, you can definitely take out time constantly worrying and tremendously being in pain about why it happened. And I'm not saying that's going to stop, because it is extremely traumatic and painful. But I would absolutely suggest to consciously, at some point of time, tell oneself that I'm going to take out time to recognize those moments, those wonderful moments where I have experienced joy, happiness, love with that person, right from the time I brought that person to this planet, including my own son, my own daughter, or anyone. So, best way to even think is, if I want my son, if I want my daughter to live eternally, is live in the form of those wonderful memories. If those wonderful memories continue to live in your mind and heart, I would almost say that person is continuing to live, because he or she is living in you, he or she is living in your memories, he or she is living in those cherishing moments that will live with you for the rest of your life. So if you see that way, no one has really died. They continue to be in you, they continue to grow in you as these eternal memories. On the other hand, if we are going to just stop at the grief part, then while we might not ever get an answer as to why this happened, the fact is you can feel much better that the person is continuing to live with these moments of memories. So I would honestly ask the person to try. I won't even say less or more, how much ever they can every day, to think of those moments where they truly enjoyed, and tell themselves that in these memories, in these moments, he is still continuing to live, and he will always live.
That's right, that's right. And on behalf of myself and all our viewers, we would like to extend to you our deepest sympathy. Also, yesterday I visited Maharani Dubey, heard that passed away. He was 77 years old. He was cremated today. So I'm sorry on behalf of all our family here and our viewers. I heard that some viewers went to the funeral yesterday. So that's a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that we are supporting each other, right?
Absolutely. Just wanted to add something
Go ahead.
Roshan shared as well. A lot of us have, different faith background and religious background, belief system. And I think commonly, we all believe in a higher power. And our majority of us believe that there is, this higher power. What happens when we lose someone? A lot of us go into guilt. A lot of us go into anger. We go into frustration. Why this happened? And I think finding relief is really understanding that there is a higher power behind all of us. And in life, we try to control as many things in our lives, but death is something we can't really control. And just to be able to, going back to what Ashwin shared, that really live that person's legacy from their memories and help others, whether it's someone die of an illness, whether someone has taken their lives, whatever situation, that we can learn from an experience to help someone else, to dissolve their suffering, and to help that person. And I think if we can try, once we, it's a very sad and definitely heartbreaking situation, but when we can get over that, if we can get over that hurdle a bit and really go to our faith and go into a place to say that, what can I learn from this? Who can I help with this? It can really drive us. And, I'm sure we would love to think that our loved ones that we've lost is up there looking at us and, wanting us to smile, wanting us to move forward, wanting us to go on, wanting us to live in their memory for the good things and help others with that.
That's right. I see Harry George all the way from Canada. Thank you very much for tuning in. Nayan is all the way in Guyana. Thank you very much for tuning in. And Neela Pawaru said, my deepest condolence to the passing of the young soul. Yes, I'm going to ask the mother had asked me to play a nice song for him. So, and you know what? I don't know. Probably you know the meaning for the song. I don't know it. Probably you can just give probably a sentence. If you know the meaning, I'm sure you know the meaning for the song. Wait, it's coming up just now. Mere Raja, Mere La. So you'll hear the song.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So you are listening to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. And this song is dedicated to you and your son, okay?
मेरे लाल तुझको ढूंढूं मैं कहाँ मेरे राजा मेरे लाल तुझको ढूंढूं मैं कहाँ रोए ममता तड़पे माँ
welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. So, as I said, my deepest sympathy to you, my friend. Hope by you listening to the song can bring some solace to you. The song is Mere Raja, Mere La. So, Ashwin, you can probably just say, what in a nutshell.
It's all about the pain of missing someone and trying to really find where that person is. And I think it kind of tags along back to what I said earlier. That person hasn't gone anywhere. The person continues to live in your memories.
Okay. So I'm going to let you take the mic and say what you got to say now about AHA and your album.
Sure. Now, so we are on this whole album promoting tour, both here in US and in India. On the eve of New Year, we launched this album called 2020. And it has these 7 tracks that are all about really shaping an extraordinary life for oneself. It kind of tags along to the larger vision of what AHA is. So AHA it bears this single vision of helping people to master their emotions and truly live a mind-fit, happy life. And the way we do it is we bring it through a lot of content that is digitally available in 20-plus platforms across the globe. So name a platform: Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Deezer, back in India, Ghana, Savan, and every other country from Lebanon to Japan to Australia. There are platforms where our content is live right now, and been able to touch close to 1 million people who have listened to our content and their lives have been influenced. And our whole passion is to make mental well-being content easy, simple, and accessible to one and all, whereby no one really feels that this is not my cup of tea, this is not something that I am having time for, I'm not ready for, or I'm not elevated enough, because often it has been glorified to be something out of hand. And our whole approach here is to reach people where they are and make this difference and bring about this shift. So that's what we're doing. So we work with a lot of companies, schools, colleges, in India and here. And as far as this album is concerned, we really wanted to help people as they start this new year, as they start this new decade, really make this true decision inside to shape the life they want to shape, and what kind of a mind shift they need to be able to have a positive life shift, a physical shift, and whatever they want to do. So starting from the first track, which goes as Time Has Come, we really wanted people to realize there's no need to procrastinate, no need to wait for that one day where you will be able to get what you want to get, but it is right now and here, where a little bit, so we always call it as a couple of inches shift in your mind, and then you will be able to shape an extraordinary life for yourself. So from there we go through various tracks, and Diane can fill in with the rest of the tracks. And
every track, like Oshin said, is really meant to shape your life for a beautiful future, to help you create your purpose, your intent for yourself. We have tracks where you can recognize the moments in your life. The track is called The Moments, and you can recognize the moments in your life and really bring gratitude, like we talk about inculcating gratitude in your life. There's a track called A New You. Life is about every single day we're creating and we're destroying. And how do we really create a new you every moment of our lives and every moment of our days? And this track is really everything that all the tracks can is really there to help you to visualize your life, to take ownership of your life, to really feel, because when we feel, we create, and we want people to be able to create from their most inner being. And it's not something that we want you just to listen one time. It's something, as you're going about your morning, going about your day, maybe start it off, maybe end your night. One of the tracks Osher and I did together, and it's one of my favorite. It's called Blessing, and it's actually just really feeling every single person in your life, starting with your parents and ending with the planet. How many times do we really get to really connect to everything that has came into our lives? And that one track really helps you to feel, from your parents to your children to your spouse to whoever it is that's in your life, and connect from a place of oneness, because many times our lives we feel everything is separated from us, including ourselves. We are separated from ourselves, right? Our mind, our thoughts, and how to really bring it together. So yes, we'd love for each and every one of you to really enjoy. Kenan is going to you're going to post.
Yes,
the
yes,
link.
I will post a link.
Yeah, and you can really.
It's on
enjoy
all the
this.
platforms. So whatever app they have, Spotify,
You have
iTunes, Google Play, Amazon
Prime,
Music.
You can have it wherever music or content is playing right there.
Plus, we have various other albums, so they can see the whole list of content there once they select us. Yeah.
Yes, and that's nice. Congratulations to you.
Thank
Guys are doing so much work and around the world. People easily get stressed out today with life challenges, especially social media itself brings a lot of anxiety, Ashwin. How do we free ourselves from all this anxiety in our everyday life?
So it's interesting because if they go to our AHA page, we had just spoken about that yesterday, social media and anxiety. Fundamentally, the way we look at it is any external medium is only a reflection of your inner state. Often people have this tendency to blame the system, to blame something out there, and not really finding out what is inside. So I saw this interesting quote, or rather a kind of an anecdote a couple of days ago, that so I have this cup of coffee, and as I'm having this cup of coffee, and someone comes and just hits my hand, and as they hit my hand, the coffee falls on the floor, and the coffee, whatever, the stain comes over. So what is the tendency we always have when that happens? We often have the tendency to say, that person made my coffee fall. But it was not because of that person. What actually made that event happen is what is inside the cup. Instead of coffee, if it was something else, that is what is going to pour out. If it was tea, that's what's going to pour out. If it was water, that's what is going to pour out. Often, our pain, our suffering is basically an illumination of how we feel inside. But we often blame the external medium. Technology is bringing bad, social media is bringing bad. Social media, technology is only illuminating your state of mind. If you look for good, you'll look for good. If you look for bad, you'll look for bad. It is exactly like this radio FM or this radio. What are many people now on the radio doing? They are tuning into a certain frequency. So they are tuning into this frequency of Island Zone radio. Now, the moment they change that frequency a little bit, they're going to listen to something else. That is how exactly our mind is. And blaming the radio station is not the issue, or blaming the medium is not the issue. It is a change in frequency they have to make. So I often strongly share about this in all the platforms. It is not what is happening out there that is bringing about this internal struggle. If you are in a good state of mind, you will only find better means and ways to use social media, to use technology for good. If I don't have a way to get into that good place of mind, and if I'm going to blame the external, saying it's because of that I'm feeling so, you will blame something else tomorrow. So if blaming is a habit, today it's social media, tomorrow it'll be something else. And if you're going to wait the day they all change, which is never going to change, and that day you're going to be happy, good luck.
Diane, I know I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'll ask Ashwin the same question. Is what really attracted you to work with Ashwin? Because I know that both of you guys have the same goal, which is a beautiful thing. Like I said, you're from Guyana and he's from India.
Yeah, actually, when I first met Ashwin, I met him on a speaking platform, and he was speaking about life, and he was helping people to really transform their life. And my life, prior to Ashwin, was in transformation, and I would do the same thing. So it just felt natural when I saw him and what he was doing, and he's been doing it for a very long time around the world with so many lives he's been changing. And when we start having deeper conversations, and I saw the wealth of knowledge, that I knew that we have to not only take it to the aspects that he's already in, you going back to social media, going back to technology, we had that passion from day one. How can we take what he was teaching to the rest of the world, utilizing technology?
Yes.
So this is how, you can play technology. Either you can go into a negative aspect of it, or you can create a great aspect. But his brilliance, his wisdom, and you can hear it here as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, as a psych nurse, I like to when I observe people, and I see that the calmness in him. From the time he walked through the door, I could tell he's a humble soul. Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And what's your take on your part? It's always good to hear what people think, right?
What I didn't
How-
get your question.
Yeah. How you was
Sure,
attracted
yeah.
to her? What's
See, I think how I always say that you don't need to necessarily be a monk in a monastery to have monk-like qualities, and that's what I think I saw from day one in terms of that wisdom, that authenticity, that integrity. The way I look at it is, it doesn't matter what the lifestyle is. It is the amount of presence and integrity a human being has. That's what is going to truly make an impact. It's not the portfolio, it's not the
Right,
background.
right.
And that's what I've seen in Diane clearly from day one, and that's what really brought us together on this mission to make an impact, because we were clearly our alignment started from that common mission to make good, to make an impact. And when a journey starts from that kind of a larger purpose, then often that journey is one of deep appreciation for one another. It doesn't stop with me. It becomes a more we-based
Right.
journey. So
Yes.
that's what happened between both of us. We, I think, saw that we both are passionate about growth, and we live in a world where we are in the best times where we can use this technology, use this medium to take it to lots and lots of people. And while we didn't know a thing about this, all we knew is only sending email. We
I
don't
read
know
that.
how to make an app. We don't know how to do anything. We said, let us jump. The right people will come and make it happen. And that's been the case all through.
Yeah, and I think I was reading to somewhere where a child inspire you.
Oh, yeah. So that is basically my monastic journey. When I was 12, I was asked literally, I would almost say dragged by my parents, thinking that some good will go into me, because I'm young at that point of time. I don't know much. This was in Bombay. So I was literally dragged to this program where it was said that if you go there, you will learn about mind, you'll become happy. So when I go inside, I see like close to 600 people. It's a huge hall.
Wow.
The person who's conducting the program, she's 13 years old. And she's also a monk from the monastery. She's 13 years old, and in few minutes, she totally captivates me with her wisdom. And more than anything, it immediately strikes my mind that she's my age and she's doing something remarkable. And then in few hours, it started changing the first breakthrough moment I had at that point of time is moment of gratitude. For the first time, I realized how much love, how much care my parents have showered upon me. And quite often it is all seen as transaction. Quite often it is all seen as, they brought me to this planet. They're supposed to just, it is their duty to feed me. It is their duty to give me clothes. If they don't want to do it, why did they bring me to this planet? That's how the mind thinks.
Yes.
And for the first time I learned, oh my God, what is it, or how amazing it is to feel truly grateful to my parents for what they have done to me. So my first step to growth, when I was listening to the 13-year-old monk at that point of time, this was way back in the 90s, is a moment of gratitude. And that's how the journey started.
It's a beautiful story too, as I was reading it, And in life, it's always good to, and that's why I said we need to behave. Behave ourselves in a way that you never know when someone is watching you and say the right thing. Just like that young girl, you were captivated by her speech. I see Dataline, she's from Lenora, but she's in Canada. Thank you for tuning in. Your sister again, Sharon Bacchus. I hope you come join me one day, and so we could have a beautiful conversation. And like I said all the time, Diane, you don't need to be that brilliant soul to come on my program. You can just come and we can have a just fluid conversation about an apple or something, or a good story that we can empower someone.
Yeah, I just want to add that every one of us have wisdom inside. Every one of us has something to give, to shine. So
That's a good thing. I see Ryan Jeffrey, the guy who actually responsible for all of this. He's the one who have been supporting me to do this for the radio station, DJFS. Probably one day you will get to meet him. He's always supportive. And his sister too. Thank you for tuning in to the Ken Rampersaud Show. And my very good friend, Dr. Veronica Jackson-Wiltshire. I had her on the program a couple of weeks ago. And I tell you, although she's a doctor, her story was so inspiring. She studied, she passed through 2 hurricanes, and now she's a doctor in charge of about 6 clinics and about 70 doctors. And when you hear a story like this, it's really inspiring. And I hope that you continue to share my program. And I hope I get to see you sometime soon on the program too, because I was thinking about you the other day. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad that you guys tune in to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. We're going to play a song. And when we come back, we'll have some more discussion. They had planned to stay 1 hour, but you see the conversation is going very good, so they're going to stay with me throughout the program. Thank you. Our DJ is ready. Arvin, he is sleeping.
सकती नहीं मैं जी सकता नहीं कोई दूसरी मैं शरता भी रखता नहीं मैं तेरे बाजों मेरा 3, 2, 1 सचिया मोहब्बत बे माही किते और नयो मिलना जीते भी तू चलना
Boasty, Godfather, I'm a bass heavy. Man a half from the man a boasty. Fling a camera rhythm like a touchy. Boasty, house on the coast G. My music so loud you can't hear me. Some boys them can't test me. I'm on a magical journey.
दिल विच तेरे यारा मैनू रहने दे आँखों से आँखों वाली गल कहने दे धड़कन दिल दी तेनू पहचाने मेरा है मैं हूँ तेरी रब भी ये जाने
पूरे सकती नहीं मेरा सकता नहीं तेरे बिन यार और जीते सकता नहीं या तेरे बाँचों मेरा
2, 1
Everybody रंग तेरा चढ़िया पे के हुर कोई रंग नयो चलना सचिया मोहब्बत
Boasty, Godfather, I'm a bass heavy. Man a half from the man a boasty. Fling a camera rhythm like a touchy. Boasty, house on the coast G. My music so loud you can't hear me. Some boys them can't test me. I'm on a magical journey.
Mahi mainu chandiyo na ke tere bin dil nahi lagna. Chitte bichu chalna hai mahi mai tere piche piche chalna.
पीछे चलना
जी सकती नहीं मैं जी सकता नहीं कोई दूसरी मैं शरता भी रखता नहीं क्या तेरे बाजों मेरा
2, 1
सचिया मोहब्बत बे माही किते और नयो मिलना जीते भी तू चलना
Boasty, Godfather.
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. So, so my guests, they're excellent. And I would like to know, Ashwin and Diane, how do you guys keep yourself grounded and stable? Because I know you guys were saying you met even the Prime Minister of India, and I know to meet all these big people, it's a good thing. So how do you keep yourself grounded?
Well, fact is, we should recognize one thing, that we all are grounded. There's nothing like because we can't fly, we don't have wings. So all that happens is our mind, and our mind is designed to run around. The biggest problem we have is we've been conditioned from childhood to think that we should think in a certain way. We should think this, we should not think this. We should get distracted, not get distracted. So lot of preconditioned in terms of how mind should be. So we talk a lot about this. Lot of conflict in life comes from the difference between what is and what should be. So we have been told this, we have a list of should be. I should not think bad thoughts. I should not do this. I should not think this way. I should not feel that way. So when your mind feels that way, you go into a deeper conflict. You go into struggle. So what I have been taught for the longest time in the monastery is truly practicing self-awareness, where you are able to be a witness to all your thoughts. You're able to see it all. As you're able to see it all, soon what happens is you become friends with your mind. It doesn't matter whatever the thought is. It could be a great, positive, saintly thought, and next moment could be the most negative, horrible thought. The mind by itself is designed that it'll think it all. But what happens is when you start struggling with the thought, that's when conflict starts, and that's when you start losing energy, and that's when you end up acting in a way that becomes a downward spiral. So to me, meditation is truly not about what to think. It's not about being thoughtless. It's not about being in that pure place. It's truly about being a witness to all that is going on. And meditation is not about sitting at a place and closing your eyes alone. It's not about a certain environment. It's not about a certain atmosphere. It's about everything. For example, this moment, if I'm sitting with you and talking to you, that moment is a meditation by itself. So going back to your question, our daily, I would use the word, since you have asked, groundedness comes from making this choice to be able to bring attention to each and every single moment. When you bring attention to each and every single moment, that very moment gives you a lot of energy, it gives you a lot of clarity, it gives you a lot of stability. Quite often what happens is we, instead of bringing attention to whatever we're doing, we are having this tendency to go into conflict in terms of what we are thinking, what we should be thinking, and we go into this endless struggle. So to kind of consolidate it all, my daily practice, there are two aspects to it. One is ongoing, another is immersion. Immersion is something you get to do only when you have time, where you totally shut out, you sit and you spend hours just thinking, deeply contemplating. As and when schedule accommodates, I definitely take out time for that kind of immersion. But on an ongoing basis, wherever I am, whether I am in a flight traveling between India and US, or whether I am having my food, or whether I am spending time talking to people, how much attention I'm able to bring to each and every moment. That is the best practice you can do throughout your life to live a great life.
Yes, Diane. So how do you do your thing? In the morning when you wake up,
Yeah. Like Ashwin shared, that whatever we are sharing here today, we live our life this way. And we don't really believe in, sitting and enjoying a nice meditation practice is beautiful. But I think I've taken this intent to myself, what kind of life I want to show up, what kind of person I want to become in this world, what kind of life I want to live, what vision I have for myself. And because I have that intent, I always go back to it. So my day starts at 5 o'clock in the morning because I have 2 kids.
Yes.
And I have to get them ready to school. And the first thing comes to mind is gratitude. I don't have to sit there and think about it, but my son is there with me in my bed, and I can, feel that gratitude every single morning. So it's a quick way of practicing for me, gratitude, that I'm so grateful to, have my beautiful kids. But I'm a working mother, right? So I'm a mother throughout the whole day. And so many thoughts, so many things come in my mind on a constant basis. But like moments come, they go. Thoughts also should come and go.
Yes.
A lot of the times what happens to us, we keep those thoughts. We keep those thoughts for the next moment, for the next day, for the next, 10 days, for the next year. And if it's a bad thought, we are living that. This is why we get into stress and anxiety and depression and all of this, because that thought becomes us.
Right.
So the one thing that we have been practicing, and I've been practicing, for a very long time, and it's not a one-time thing. It's a constant practice, is that when a thought arises, especially a negative thought, and negative thoughts do arise, right, is how we seize that thought, how we can actually bring awareness to it. And like we go to sleep, when you go to sleep, it's a new day. And it should be the same with your thoughts. It should be the same with your mind. It's a new day. So for me, gratitude and really practicing awareness, like Ashwin shared, is how we really go about our days.
That's right. I see. Priya said, "Oh my God, so much resonates with your routine." And I see Priya said, "Good idea to bring in these two wonderful souls, Ashwin and Diane. You guys rock." I know they rock. That's why I bring them in. That's why I always look for good guests to come in the program. Let's see. We're going to ask our DJ to get another song, and then when we come back, we're going to close off. Can you have a link? Yeah, I will put that link up in just a couple of minutes. So let's go. Are you ready, DJ? Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here in New York. So I'll ask Ashwin to make his final comment.
First of all, thank you. Thank you so much, Ken, for having us on this show. I truly believe that every opportunity we have in life is an opportunity to truly impact another human being and impact ourselves. So whoever is listening to this show right now as they are live, and whoever is going to listen to this show, let's say post this show gets over on the Facebook page of yours and every other network, I would truly tell them all that they all have a wonderful life to live, and life is extremely precious, and a lot of what you might be thinking that you're suffering about are not even true. Many of them are just mental stories that never existed in the first place. So if you can kindly make this inner calling, tell yourself, I'm going to do all it takes to live a truly happy, clear life. You're just starting a new year, a new decade. The moment you take that intent, deep intent, and start feeling that intent and living that intent, rest will start unfolding, and you will have a wonderful, precious, beautiful life, both to live and to share with others. Don't wait. Don't wait. And I would love for each one of you to go to AHA page. We have the AHA Facebook page was tagged on the post at the top. If you just click there and go like the page, then you will every day, every few hours, you will have access to this kind of wisdom from any part of the world.
Go ahead, Diane.
Yes, and I just want to add that life is not the future, it's not the past, it is every moment of your life. Make it special. Bring awareness to your thinking, bring awareness to every aspect of your life. Practice it. It's not easy, I know that, because it took me a very, very long time and I'm still practicing this. But as you continue to practice, you start to show up differently in your life. You start to feel better. You start to feel great. And not only for yourself, but for the people around you. And especially if you're a parent and you have kids, they so deserve this. They deserve a happy parent. They deserve someone who's smiling around the home, because they're the future, right? They're the ones you want to do this for. You're doing everything for. And the best thing they want to see is they want to see a happy parent. They want to see a happy mom, a happy dad, a happy parent in the home, smiling, because they'll take that into their life and create for others too.
Well, thank you, Diane, and thank you, Ashwin.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure having you guys on. It's always good to have people here who, inspiring. And let me read. Roxanne says, I love something that you said, sir. That's you, Ashwin. So my late husband is here. And I see Rita just tuned in from Florida. And Priya Prasad says, Ken, would love to have them again. Give them a heads up. Love the wisdom and insight they have shared. Thanks for going over the hour. Yes, I'm glad that they decided to stay. Maria said, excellent show, getting better and better each week. Yes, it's about growth, and we're going to get better. Nellie Patrick, thank you so much for tuning in on this program. Once again, you have made excellent choice of co-hosts, very intelligent, informative, and educational conversation. We're certainly blessed to have them with us. So, yes, it's always insightful to have great guests. And so on behalf of myself and our viewers, I want to say thank you very much for both of you, and thanks for all that you're doing. I see A.R. Rahman said, AHA is a great help engine to help people feel inspired and live a happy life and share the same with others. And I forget to mention to you guys that both of them co-founded the AHA group, right? One is the president and one is the CEO.
Co-founders, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to the Ken Rampersaud Show, and tune in next week again. Despite we finish now, please go ahead and share our page and share the link so other people would get to see the program. I want to say thanks to our DJ for playing some wonderful songs too. And again, Nalini, I would like to extend our deepest sympathy to you and to your family, and to Maharani Dubey for the loss of your father. Until then, have a very pleasant evening and enjoy the rest of the week. Join me tomorrow along with Shanaz for Chit Chat with Shanaz and Ken on Island Zone Radio. On that note, good night.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
A DJ could probably show a Lucy sound.
Should make you stronger. So my problems is like steroids, boy. I get my doses from all kinds of sources.